Are you feeling like we live in a world where bit by bit the powers that be are attempting to erase history?
Because it seems like more and more they want us to be the least curious, the least informed, and not even have the bare minimum of education.
But we won't let that happen. I'm Donna Polk,
I'm Jonathan Stokes,
the host of Now We Know,
the monthly Black history podcast that sheds light on topics that were left to the wayside.
But now we know how crucial the history of it all plays into how we navigate the world, especially today.
So we're here to explore, learn from experts, and have fun while doing it.
If you're ready to scratch that curiosity itch, be entertained, or simply learn something new, you're exactly where you should be.
This is Now We Know.
Welcome the people back. And we're also going to welcome our very special guest, Laura Tully. Thank you for joining us today on Now We Know. So for everybody listening, Laura is a dear friend of mine. We met probably 2 years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago at an event of one of my friends, Whitley.
Yeah.
Shout out to Whitley.
Hey Whitley.
And yeah, we've just gotten to connect and hit it off from there. And so for some context, Laura is an incredible personal wardrobe stylist. And so I get all of the inspiration for what I can do right from Laura. And so we're really happy to have you on the podcast and just get to chat and have a nice discussion surrounding fashion and respectability politics, because we want to relate that, of course, to the experience in the Black community here in the U.S. and how fashion has played such a role in that realm. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know you, Laura, so if you wouldn't mind, I wanted to learn a little bit about you. Can you tell me about how you got into the fashion game, the styling game? Where did this fall in your timeline?
Gosh, Jonathan, how much time do we have? Jeez.
We have time.
We have time.
So it's interesting because, I mean, if someone had said to me, you know, when I was like in my early 20s, like, you're going to do this as a career and be a personal wardrobe stylist, I'd been like, I would have been surprised, you know, because it was definitely not on my radar as far as what I would do for my career. Mm-hmm. I've always loved fashion. Style has always been like a part of my like DNA, you know. My mom, like, she was a seamstress. I mean, she worked many different jobs, but she'd sew our clothing. And my dad was a shoemaker. I grew up in Jamaica, and you know, we've always just like, with very little means, like, I feel like my parents really showed us like the importance of just clothing your body in a way that makes you feel good, and that it could be just as relevant as the words coming out of your mouth, you know? So I feel like style, in hindsight, was always kind of there. And a long story, way shorter, is, you know, I was not using my degree in psych and health studies, and my dad was like, "What are you doing with your life?" And so I really started really meandering, and I eventually worked at J. Crew in management, and then switched into personal styling. And I was like, oh yeah, style, you know, there was just that like ease to it. And when I switched to the personal styling position, I was like, oh, I get this. This is me. This feels right.
Yeah.
Then J. Crew removed the stylist role, and you know, it was like, do you go back into like management or just regular retail? And my husband just really encouraged me. He was like, you've been like, just go out on your own and do your own thing. And I was like,
Yeah. Like, how do I do that?
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's so hard because it's like, follow your dreams. But what does that mean? Right. You know, but I just dove into it and figured it out. And that was over, 12 years ago.
Wow.
I took a few years off and on here with kiddos, but I was like, this is something I'm really good at. Mm-hmm. And I think so much of how I've like progressed in my philosophy on style is about the accessibility, about, you know, it's this like really incredible tool that you can leverage in like such an awesome way to just show up as you in the best way.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that's such a great part of like why I love what I do is because I see how people like, they just start to like beam that confidence and then the domino effect of like all the other goodness that they start to make happen because they just have this ownership in how they're clothing their body, you know? And yeah, it's the best job.
Yeah. It's like one thing clicks and then everything else kind of clicks into place after that from
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of getting to go to a few of Laura's events and get to learn the things that I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. And what I really like is that there's vulnerability in it too.
Yeah.
And it's really creating this safe space for people to say, I don't know what I'm doing and I need help. But Laura really like encourages people. Even there's one event that you had where you're like, bring a piece. We will figure out how to make this piece work. What other items that you have, you know, that can, you know, work together. And really just surrounding that philosophy of not just like buying stuff, but to buy the pieces that work for what you're interested in or however you want to show up for yourself, which is really neat.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's so plentiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like if I say sweater, I probably like when I open my phone, there's probably going to be some like something popping up in my Insta, right? You know, it's so plentiful. And I think that what I've seen that can be so incredibly rewarding, but continue to serve us is this like ability to navigate like, how do I like figure out and learn what works on my body and why I love it? And I feel like, you know, your style is always evolving. There's never this like landing place of like, aha, like this is it, you know? And I think that just the practice of like, you know, figuring out why something works for you and navigating that space in a way that is less about like, oh, this, my body's this way, it doesn't work for my body. And, you know, it's more about like, how do I build a wardrobe of clothing that celebrates these assets that I have in like a really intentional way so that I could get dressed, get out the door, and just feel good, you know?
Yeah.
And it could be something as simple as like a really great blazer or just jeans that you're just like, oh, thank you, Lord. These are so good, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of evolving, so we've talked a bit just in preparation of the podcast episode about respectability politics and really just kind of thinking about this shift of, you mentioned evolving, the way that we dress has evolved, you know, tremendously, even in the last probably 20 years, even 10 years or 5 years, you know. But as we relate it back to like the history of Black culture basically here in America, and what I'm thinking about is maybe the 20s and 30s, maybe even 40s, where you have like the 5-piece suits that you got to go out in, or like the to your knees dress and the heels and the earrings, you know, and how that really shaped not just the culture around fashion, but also the way that people viewed you.
Yeah.
If you weren't in such attire. What I was just thinking, or just curious to see, what do you relate in your industry for respectability, if that's still a thing, that kind of respectability politics surrounding what you wear, how you wear it, and Black people as a culture?
Oh, you know, I think that the culture of style for Black folks has always been this like a combination of things, right? It's reclamation of like who we are, and also a way of like making a statement of how we're choosing to show up and that it's dynamic.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the idea is that like there's Black folks and like it just sits in this silo, but it's so much more complex than that. And, you know, I think about, you know, the like I know for my like my dad, for example, you know, when he came to the U.S. on a work visa, you know, some of the conversations that we shared in the last, you know, few years was just like how the way he clothed his body was a way of asserting a sense of respect for himself, but also making sure that it's being given to him as well, you know? So I think that it's like, yeah, if that answers.
I think so. It's because like outward looking in, you know, there's so many things that you have to do to be like acceptable or to be able to like get through the door or even, you know, get a place at the table, and clothing is part of that.
Yeah, there's such a long history of that, at least in Black American history. And I really want to share to the audience, we referenced this video. It's called A Black History of Style by Intellectual Media. I think her name is Lexi, but she's an incredible historian and also a sex educator and just dibbles and dabbles around in Black history in all these interesting ways. And so through her research, I learned so much about history, and there's always this thing where my mind goes to the way that Southern Black folks dress just after emancipation. And my grandma kind of dressed in that way. My grandma was born in 23 and kind of just stuck to the lighter fabric work dress, I guess you would say, like a nightgown basically that she would wear throughout the day. And I was like, Granny, that is so that is so old. That's so country. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But then when it came time to get dressed up and go out, lady was gussied up. And so that ties all the way back to actually American slavery. There's a great deal of documentation about how slave owners, when they were putting people up for sale, they would sometimes dress them up. It would not only represent that these people are maybe healthy when they weren't, they would hide injuries that way, but it would also look good on the plantation that they have a healthy stock of people and they're good at raising these cattle. Essentially, you know, it's crazy, but this is the truth of the times. And so as that progressed, Black people, even while enslaved, would be rewarded sometimes with certain fabrics and certain clothing items. And so it became this interesting push and pull of Black people admiring these fabrics and being able to differentiate themselves from cattle by expressing themselves as the humans that they are. And then also the kind of pushback for them doing that. There's documentation of people saying, it's interesting that they don't want the dress, they just want the fabric. Because since the beginning of time, Black people were like, I'll go ahead and take care of that myself. We'll go ahead and sew this dress ourselves. So like, we'll make sure that this is cute ourselves. And ever since then, like scarves were worn differently, dresses were worn differently, scarves or shawls were worn differently, because I think that we've always been a creative people. And so to what you said, just self-expression and confidence, it's always been a part of the function of clothing. And so I wanted to ask you too, when it comes to your clients and when you're working with them on developing their closet, do you see that people come to you because they're wanting more confidence, or they're wanting more clothes, or they're wanting to be completely different or enter in different kind of economic space? Like, what is the main reason why people would be coming to you and asking for assistance? And what do you usually see through that process when it comes to their own expression?
Yeah. I love that history too. Thanks for like sharing that. That's a great question. It's all of the above, right? I think that so much of why someone reaches out to me is bits and pieces of can this be better? Can me getting dressed and feeling good in what I wear be easier and more functional in this like attainable way? And also, I think it's also like a part of their story. I feel like so much of what I learn from clients is just like the experiences that they've gone through, a narrative they've probably had about what they thought they should be or expectations. And I think so much of how I work with clients is about like reframing that mindset in different ways. And then using style as this tangible way to access what that can look like, you know? Mm-hmm. So like the three of us here, we have our own stories, how we grew up, you know, like, no, girl, you can't wear that unless it's Sunday church. Like that is special, you know? Or even how we see this body as our home, like how we feel in it, then can translate to what we consider to be worthy enough to wear the darn thing, right? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's like, you know, switching careers where, you know, maybe you were behind the scenes and now it's more forward facing and just like, oh, I really got to like put some more thought into this. But I would say like the umbrella picture of how I work with clients is taking all of those pieces, and it just comes down to this. How do we build a wardrobe that serves you where you are with what you have in a way that is intentional and aligned and is no longer tethered to what people think you should be? And I think that sometimes that's surprising for a lot of my clients. They're like, oh, I didn't know we were going to get this deep.
Yeah, it's almost like therapy in a sense. Yeah.
It is this deep, though.
Yeah, it is. It is, because I think that the way we clothe our body is a decision. Whether you think it's not a big deal or not, that is still a choice. And so I think that's so much of kind of combing through that process of like, you know, why do I have a wardrobe of things that are billowy and oversized or isn't touching any part of my frame? That has a story to it. That's data, right? That's information. And I think part of the experiences that I've learned through clothing clients of, you know, many different sizes, all different closets, all different needs and wants, is that like the mindset component is like, it is like ground zero to feeling like, okay, I get to and have always been worthy and deserving of loving on my body in a way that like celebrates it. And it's not like I just look in the mirror and just say a phrase and ta-da, right? Yeah. It's just a process, right? And I think what I try to do is merge the tangible elements of like, we now know your rise. We now have all these like measurements that are a collection of information about you, not what a model looks like or what you saw on TikTok or Instagram. And now we're going to use that information to see like why this like crop V-neck situation is so yummy on you, or why this type of inseam is like your sweet spot when it comes to how pants lay on you, you know? And so I think like style can seem like this, like, I'll eventually figure it out if I just keep like trying things and casting the net. And that's part of it. But I think such an important part of developing style is really collecting the like juicy bits of information about yourself in a way that it doesn't seem sexy. It's like people are like, I gotta know all my measurements. Like, can I just like try on a bunch of things? I'm like, no, let's start with some good information about you, and I feel like that process is really allows you to realize that developing your sense of style isn't a hack. It isn't just like a copy and paste. Yeah. It is a evolution. Yeah. And I think a lot of what I bring to the table when I work with clients is really just like getting like a focus. So it's not about Laura coming in and putting Laura's style on you. Mm-hmm. It's like I come in and I see like the goodness, right? Mm-hmm. And then I show you what that means in real life so that there's clarity. And then we bring in the styles that support that. And then you have this like refocus, like, oh my gosh, I've been wearing these like oversized things. But yes, you're right. Like when it's a little bit more tailored and it has some structure, like there I am. Like, yes, there you are.
That's gotta be exciting. It's like a form of liberation, no? Just being able to like really kind of break down whatever stories they were telling themselves or what stories society was telling them that they could be or how they should show up, and being able to like really just rip that all off, I guess, pun may be intended, and like, resetting and reestablishing what their true self is and their expression and their form of liberation through how they're dressing themselves.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you think about it, like this morning, like you got dressed, right? Mm-hmm. And like
I tried today.
You look so cute.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
I think like it's like that decision, right? Mm-hmm. Like what do I want for myself? Yeah. And I think style and part of it that helps you move closer to feeling like, oh, this is so me. Mm-hmm. Like this feels like me is being willing to go there and be uncomfortable and, maybe just like experience like, why am I wearing this? And, why does it make me feel this way? Like, what's the story behind it? Because I feel like it helps to filter through like what you actually want. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like twofold for me because I feel like I know I have to dress for my role. Mm-hmm. And then, if I'm showing clients houses, like this weekend, showed a lot of houses, and I have to present myself as if I'm representing someone who is going to make one of the biggest investments of their life, right? Yeah. And so there's this balance of, or it should be harmony really, of showing up for the role,
right,
but then also getting to show up for myself in a way that still feels like me.
You. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that, I guess at this point in time, a lot of people are more so in that space of like trying to figure out their own style, or even if they get it wrong, or maybe if they're not wearing it right, maybe it's some trend that they saw and it just didn't work out, but it was something that they liked instead of having to be confined in boxes like we used to be to be acceptable to whoever in society, and being able to say, okay, we are this person, but like just because you see me, like we just had a conversation with someone who's running for Alabama Senate.
While this is our first time venturing into a completely visual medium,
we have an entire archive of podcast episodes that you can listen to.
Search Now We Know on whichever podcast streaming platform you use.
Start from the beginning, hear the evolution, and come back here to let us know what you learned.
We want to have fruitful conversations, not just amongst ourselves, but with you, the listeners.
Watch, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things.
This helps us spread the word to reach viewers and listeners just like you.
We're so grateful you're here. Thank you. And he was pulled over and he was in pajamas and Uggs, but it was 3:00 in the morning, right? But he's a businessman. He's a CEO. He's running for he's running for Senate, but at the time he wasn't running for Senate. But the way that the police officers saw him was just, this person who must have been drunk and this person who just must have been on drugs and must have been doing all the, the bad things that you do at 3 o'clock in the morning, supposedly, except he wasn't under any influence. He was absolved of that. There was no, like, all of the drug tests and everything came back negative. But I say that to say how he was dressed imposed the respect that the officers didn't show him in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's also add, I mean, he could have been dressed in a tuxedo, but him being black would have also had the same outcome. You know what I mean? Like there are limits to the amount of things that clothes can affect in our world. And so I think that's why the personal expression is so interesting to me, because it's like, I'm probably not going to change people's hearts and minds because I'm showing up looking amazing, but I can change mine, and I can change how I'm going to walk. Like literally posture changes when you're in your outfit, when you put that shit on. You know what I mean? Like, you are going to be approaching things with more confidence and things like this. So actually, I wanted to ask, I think I might be seeing it with Donna a little bit, just I have seen you dress, but I see this evolution. I feel like you stepped into like a more mature, tailored, like boss lady vibe. And you've all but mentioned that. But also, Laura, I wanted to know, what was your evolution with your style? And really what I want to get to, and that's for both of you, because I have mine in my head. What was the first real like outfit or clothing piece that you found or wore or saw that was like, that's for me? They made that stuff for me.
Ooh. So my parents live in Atlanta and in Georgia, and my parents love framed photos plastered everywhere in the house. Like, there's a lot. So it's interesting whenever I go back home, because everything's on our phones, right? All of our photos, they're just like here. Mm-hmm. It's weird, like seeing all of these printed, framed photos. And there it is, my style evolution.
That is so funny.
In real form. And it's been really interesting because, like high school and was such a like big part of my style evolution, Mm-hmm. Like I remember I had these like red high top Reeboks that I
could see you in that even now, though.
I just love, like, I want them back. I want them. And they were just these, I wore them with everything, and I think the evolution for me has always been like the willingness to try, but also not feel like style was something that I just like it wasn't about getting it perfect. It was just like, what feels like me, as I move through all these different seasons of my life. And trust me, I had some seasons when I look back, I'm like, why though, Laura? Why? But I think that is like an important thing to have and experience because, like right now, like I feel like, when you look at the aesthetic and style, what's happening, like 90s vibe is such a, big part of like what people were like, trying to pull and style from. And I think that like, I like to see like a cultural stamp on what was happening in that moment. And I think that style is such a cool reflection of that. And so when my friends would be like, oh my gosh, why did I wear that? And I'm like, but it would be weird if you never said that. I don't know. Right. Right? Yeah. So for me, I think it's become more about like less about performing to dress in a way that people have expectations for me, and it's more about I get to show up as like the best version of myself. And I figured out what that means to me. And then I get to express that in the way I clothe my body. And my style is very like street style.
Yeah.
With some chicness, you know? So I love to be comfortable. So that means like, you know, maybe like a cool oversized blazer with a tee, some jeans, and probably those high tops, honestly, you know? And that feels like me. And when I pivot and like if I'm meeting a client or I'm doing a keynote or something, I don't feel like I have to like reinvent Laura, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about style. Like I think like it's not just, if you're living your life, which is not just one layer, it's like layered and dynamic, right? Then you dress in a way that like supports you in all those components. Yeah.
So it's like you have your style. It's always going to be your style. It's just the style of Laura that's meeting a friend for coffee, the style of Laura that's meeting someone for lunch or a client or being a keynote speaker. It's always going to be Laura. It's just a different layer of the Laura onion.
Yes.
Basically, of your style. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
What about you, Donna?
Yeah.
Ooh, let's see, my style. If you ask my mom, when I was growing up, it was like polka dots and stripes the same time. And
I kind of love that.
yeah. And there's this phase that I went through that I know I loved. Harry Potter, and I had these Harry Potter overalls that I got maybe for Christmas or something like that, and I wore them until I couldn't wear them anymore. So that's like a core memory for me.
Yeah.
I probably got them in, I don't know, maybe elementary, so like 4th grade or something, and when it's 6th grade and now I'm flooding and I've got these like too tight Harry Potter overalls on, that was me.
Yeah.
And I guess moving to middle school, it was more of a baby fat or like whatever sweatpants that had the words on the butt.
Yeah.
And I remember these ones specifically that were black and they were like gaucho pants or gaucho like sweats basically. And then they had London written on the back in red letters.
Yeah.
And that was like, it's so weird to even say this because I'm like, ooh, there are probably kids doing this now that
they are.
yeah, but like, because it calls attention to your butt. But I am a teenager, you know what I mean? And then there's like comments and stuff that like the boys would make, and like that just feels icky thinking about it as an adult. But that was a staple, and like your jean skirts and. You know, a pair of Nikes, and then it was like business casual going out to the clubs and then figuring it out from there. And like, I guess at this stage in my life, I'm still working through it. Like, again, I truly do take a lot of like what you say. And like, I just swipe through all the carousels and I'm like, okay, take note of that. And, you know, and I started screenshotting people with outfits that I like. You told me about that. I'm like, that's a really great idea. So that one day when I can afford that like $2,000 suit that I'll wear once every quarter, then I can do that. And so I have found myself, I guess, in this place now where like understanding more about what I like on me or what feels right. But then also, actually, even last week, I was like, I'm so tired of getting dressed for work. I'm over it. I need to get like a few new pairs of like heels, basically, because I wore my other ones to the bone. But as I was figuring that out, I'm like, okay, you don't have to buy new shoes. You need to figure out the shoes that you have to fit with the outfits that you have and what makes sense. And so instead of pairing this with this all the time, like, you know, put your, like, I've got this long sort of gray jacket, like not a suit jacket. Anyway, it's like a dress jacket kind of thing. It's great, like easy, throw it over. I had on black skirt and a black top. And I had these boots on and like that jacket, and just boom, all of a sudden I can go to work, right? But then I take the jacket off and all of a sudden I can go have a cocktail with a friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like trying to get my brain to understand that more instead of going to buy stuff, use what I have. And so
okay, you're making mama so proud because you're building, I call it the outfit mindset. Like, yeah.
What is that? Can you speak more to that?
So instead of, because normally what we do, we go and we buy pieces. Like, oh, that sweater is so cute, or I like these pants. And then the item comes home and then it's like, when are you going to wear me? And you're like, I need to find something to wear with you. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel like when we build an outfit mindset, it's more about like forecasting, like, how are these pieces going to work for how I live my life and how they come together? So if you see the sweater in the store that you're like, oh, I love this color, that will look really good with my slip skirt, or I could rock it with my like high-waisted, wide-leg, you know, black pants, or I could completely dress it down and do my like charcoal sweatpants with my high-top sneaks, or, you know, you can just go on and on. Kind of like describing how this item is going to come into your space and on your body, but then do stuff as opposed to just like sit there, you know. And that outfit mindset not only helps you kind of filter through like, oh, like this just doesn't work for my life. You know, this is my Pinterest life. You know. Or it can just help you navigate, like, you can see, oh my gosh, I'm going to get so much use out of this because of all the different ways that you are, like, then seeing how you can wear an item. And I feel like that versatility then starts to build a closet that, like, can meet you in many different areas of your life. I always tell people, when you're packing for a trip, that is like one of the biggest like indicator of like the health of your closet.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Big time.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to pack a carry-on, which I'm really bad at.
Yeah.
But I would be the one that has like the massive
Jonathan,
suitcase.
you don't. You're like, no, I don't.
What happens if I change my mind, like, and I don't necessarily feel like dressing like this, and I'm out of town and I don't have an option? I'm an overpacker.
Yeah.
I have been reformed slightly to be like, okay, I don't want to pay that $35 checker luggage fee. And so I have figured out how to like make it work. I'm like, this can go with that.
Yeah.
But just in case, I do have just in case still, just out of, I don't know, habit.
Yeah.
But then also maybe it's chillier than I thought, or maybe it's warmer than I thought, or maybe we go out twice in one day. I try and have options.
Yeah. And that's like practical, right? Sure. It's not just like I'm there for 5 days, I pack 5 things, the end, you know.
That'd be crazy.
Like, right?
Yeah. Crazy. Every time I pack, I also suddenly like have this fear that I'm suddenly gonna pee and poop all over myself. Like that's the
all of a sudden you're incontinent and you're like, oh my God.
Literally has never happened in my life.
Right, yeah.
Like, we have to prepare. Bring the whole closet.
Yeah, bring the whole
That's so
have to prepare. Bring the whole closet.
I wanted to share something that I was thinking about while we were talking about this episode, because it really stood out to me as the moment that I started like seeing myself a little bit more in fashion and style, which is not easy to do because I've always been big. So usually the examples are not for me, or what's available isn't going to fit. But I went to a Catholic school my whole life, and so we always wore uniforms. So I never really in my childhood needed a personal style per se. Like we'd have clothes that we'd wear for dress out days, but whatever. And this one time, it was 8th grade, we had a all-school mass that the 8th graders were doing. And I wore this shirt that was that had the Got Milk, font on it. And it said Got Jesus. And so I would always wear those things because in the Husky Boys section, it's nothing but humor. They're like, oh, you're going to be fat. You better start getting funny now. So I got my Got Jesus shirt. And I remember I turned around after going up and on the altar, and the whole church started laughing at my shirt. First of all, not that funny. Y'all need a hobby. But secondly, I was like, well, what a thrill, what a rush. And I started to dress in my free time in a way that would kind of entertain other people. And I think that's kind of just how I've been. I've always been extroverted in certain ways, but then it turned into I'm now going to dress so that I'm entertained by what I'm wearing myself. My first job was at a thrift store, which made it really easy to play around with things. And I was like, I like those colors together. I look like a candy cane. Love it. Keep it. You know what I mean? Like little things that entertained me along the way. And it was just really, really fun to see that evolve. And now I think as an adult, I'm trying to maybe go more in the downer route where I'm like, I need to look more like an adult, but I still have to entertain myself.
Yes.
It's less about other people, but it's like, I am this person. Look at my hands. Hello.
Yeah.
Like
So
I have
fun.
to have my things. It's
Yeah.
fun for me.
Yeah.
And it's who I am. You know what I mean? But I do have a question though, because I'm so stuck in Black skinny jean world. It's so millennial. Like I'm so stuck there, and I can't get with these what I call Kim Possible pants. I'm like, why are all the pants so big? Like I'm gonna trip or something on it. How do you approach people that are like, I'm comfortable with exploration, but this silhouette is my silhouette, and they're interested in trying new things? How would I go about maybe practicing on new silhouettes that could work for me? I just am afraid to try.
Yeah. First of all, I think I love that you worked at a thrift store, because I feel like thrifting can be this very cool way of like developing your own style agency, because like nothing's like templated for you. No one's like, this goes with this, you know, like you kind of have to like forge that for yourself. So I love that.
And even outside of like seasons, thrift stores, it's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's all
like,
the things.
There's no like style section of like these 14 pair of the same cut pants in different sizes, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of allows you more options anyway.
Yeah, more options. And like, I think just like, it kind of zooms you out a bit towards like yourself, because no one's giving you, you know, a direction, you know? And I feel like that's part of like such an important skill to develop, because sometimes with style, so much of style is like, I want it all, like give it all to me. And that can be exhausting and expensive. So, but to your question, you know, styles, trends, shifts in what's cool and what's out and what's relevant. I think navigating that space is like a normal part of like the process, right? So you're like, I love my skinny jeans, and now here's this like, you know, this straight leg or wide leg or these like more drapey silhouettes, and you're like, wait, hold up, I just landed in my sweet spot, and I just want to hold that like until the end of time, right? Like the skinny jeans put a ring on it, right? And it's like all the rings, right? And so what I love to bring attention to with that is two parts. It's like, it's not that you can't wear your skinny jeans anymore. It's more about like, what is it about this exploration of this style that makes you feel a certain way, right? And I think sometimes it's like a combination of change. It's a combination of maybe highlighting something about your body that feels like something you've already like resolved, or like had like I've already like reached this like resolution to this part of like how I see my body, And now sometimes, I mean, that's why like clothes are so fascinating because sometimes it's just like eliciting certain emotions that you thought like we had moved on from this, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not saying that now you have to wear wide leg or straight leg or whatever the style that's like in right now. It comes back to you. Why do I feel this way? What do I feel when I try on this style? What is it actually saying? You know, one of the client that I worked with, she only owned skinny jeans, and she was like, "You can't take my skinny jeans." She was like, "You can do whatever you want, but you cannot take my skinny jeans." And so it was more about like what is it about the skinny jeans? It was just because like that's what she's worn. Like you've worn that for so long, right? And it's home. And I think whenever we feel like something is like removing us from this comfort zone of home, it feels disruptive or uncomfortable. But like we all know this, not trying or being willing to explore says more about like being complacent than about like the trend itself. And so I always encourage like kind of like a sliding scale. Like you're at the skinny, like I'm not putting you in barrel jeans because like that could cause a whole disruption, right? Yeah. It's like let's do a straight leg. Let's see how that feels. You know, oh, you're used to like skinny, rise that like a medium rise that hits on your hip. Maybe we stick with the same rise and like now it's just a straight leg. Let's see what that feels like, you know, and collect some information about that, you know. I feel like that's a good starting point because I think like, you know, trends are a part of like the cultural stamp of like what is like a this like really popular thing, you know. It's like all of a sudden it's like I mean like when you think of like high-waisted and low-rise, like
the low-rise era, thank goodness that's over. I don't think it's coming back either.
I don't think
we blame Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera for those low-rises.
But they have like very clear like visuals, right? Like all of a sudden you're like Britney Spears and like, you know. And,
insecurities for me. It's like cutting up my love handles. I can tell you, I know. Well, I was just thinking that. I'm like, I wear skinny jeans. I have a few pair. I have more pair of skinny jeans than anything. But I'm like, it's almost like a girdle in a sense. Like it just holds in parts, even like a high, a little not high, maybe a mid, like a mid high waisted skinny jean. I don't even know if that's a correct. I know the terms, but I don't know if I'm applying it to what I actually have. But just know they're not low-rise skinny jeans. That would be awful. But it just like holds it in a little bit for me. Yes. Like, you know, like, and that feels comfortable instead of like cutting right at your, that just, to everybody listening who probably cringed just thinking about a low-rise skinny jean just cutting into your fat. Like that doesn't
you're like,
good.
This doesn't feel good.
No, like that just literally does not feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally, I hear you. I mean, and it's like, I think with any new style or new silhouettes, it's like allowing this like progression of your style, right? Because Jonathan, like you know, like you think of yourself 5 years ago with your style vibe, like it is kind of shifted and morphed. And when like a new style, because like what you're talking about with these pants, they are such a huge part of style right now, right? The wide leg, the more drapey styles, like huge, you know. And I think that like, I think about the things that we feel anchor who we think we are. And sometimes when that item is a piece of clothing, I think it's important to be a bit more curious about what that means, because I mean I style, I shop for a living, I buy the things, I you know, but I feel like at the end of the day, like nothing, especially things, should hold that kind of like power over us.
You just tapped on something. Well, two things. I think that the trend of the baggier clothes is also coming with the trend of people getting thinner, like with the rise of the GLP-1s and things like that. It kind of gives people room to look like they're thinner as they're thinning out. So I think that might be part of it. But then also with the skinny jeans, one, millennial, so that's just part of the style,
Right.
and that was in the music scene and all that. But also as a young Black man, I wasn't allowed to sag. You know, that was a huge thing that could have put me in direct danger. So I think maybe that was my attraction to a tighter leg, even though that wasn't necessarily allowed for a long time.
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
for a young gay boy who wasn't supposed to be gay.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
had to wait until it became more normalized. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things that
Ooh.
that contribute to why we dress the way we dress and how we feel about those clothes. Because I'm thinking about big pants and I'm like, ew, why? You know, because I look slovenly, but why?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's pretty powerful. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. And in learning about the history of Black people dressing, it has always been a lot. We dress for funerals, we dress for weddings and Sunday church and Easter like nobody's business. But the fact that there's literally casket ready as a thing, it's also it's because, sorry, I'm skipping through things, but the casket ready thing is a direct, we'll call it a cousin of the thought that when enslaved people pass, it's a celebration. You're out of here. You don't have to even worry about this stuff anymore. And so they always would dress in their best outfits when they were celebrating the death of somebody because they were free. And so we still continue that today. So there's a lot of our lineage that lives on through us, and including me with these pants and the silhouette. There's anti-Blackness involved. There's body shame involved, and all these things that kind of form how we present ourselves every day.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
So fascinating. And it is such a willingness to see yourself fully when you can do that, like what you just did, you know, which is not just like make that like uncomfortableness be just like dismissive. It's like, yeah, this is like, you know, I grew up this way. This is the expectation. Like, I couldn't do that. And, you know, and that just lends to you being willing to pivot as you need to, but on your terms, as opposed to like someone saying, like, this is what I think Jonathan should be wearing in order to play the part.
Right. And I'm sure you all, especially you all as women who are completely policed by how you present, have had to go through that a zillion times over.
Especially here in Idaho. You know, we have that, I think. I don't know. What's your experience there?
As a woman in style?
A Black woman in style in Idaho.
So there's not many of us here.
I know, it's shocker for everybody.
But I think that, like, you know, I think because of what I do and who I am and how I move through the world, I just show up as me, and I feel really grounded in that. And I know that is like a journey for a lot of people. I know that is not something that you're like, bah, I'm here, like this is it. But you know, it's taken years of just like practice and like staying true to myself and understanding what that means, because usually I'm in rooms where I am the only Black woman.
Yeah.
And so I think I've realized that in that context and environment, it's not so much I don't hold like any like weight on my shoulder to be like the representative of all Black people or Black women, you know?
Yeah.
And when a conversation is where like a discussion is happening and someone says something, then I'm like, you know, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I think I have learned how to like address it in a manner that makes me feel like I'm honoring who I am in that moment. And also the context too of like, what am I trying to build here in this space, you know? And you know, I just back to how I grew up, so much of how I clothe my body is a way of saying like how much I love and care about who I am, you know? And I feel like that gets translated to many different ways, but I'm not also here to leverage, like I can't control how other people see me. But I know I have the capacity to walk into a room dressed in the way that I want to and that I feel great in, and that alone gives me the confidence to not to feel like I have to like you know, code switch or play any parts that isn't like in alignment with who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about you? Like, how has it been for you? Because I was like, when you were like, oh, especially, I was like, I want to hear more about this. I was like, tell me more.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not relating to how I dress or maybe not. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But there are situations that occur where I have a hard time after so long differentiating whether it's because I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, or this person is just simply an asshole. And of those experiences, in a sense, because eventually, like, it's not like something short and whatever. It's notable to me. Or like years ago when I was first with the hotel, I had met a client to do a tour and we had like talked on the phone and had all this rapport and whatever. And so I invited them to, you know, come in person and we could, you know, sign off on the contract. And as soon as I, you know, went to walk up to greet them, I'm like, oh, you know, hi, so-and-so. They're like, oh, you're Donna. They didn't end up signing with us. They went elsewhere. And so it's situations like that where I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Probably has got to be the case, you know. And other like more in-depth or longer experiences with people where it gets really rough, like incredibly rough, and there's maybe lack of communication and then that lack of communication on their part, although I'm trying to do my job and, you know, I'm not even trying, I'm doing my job and I'm being communicative and I'm, you know, reaching out to them, they don't reach out to me, and then that turns into, oh, okay, well, finally they are not getting what they want from me because they took too long and I can no longer offer what they wanted because it's been such a long time. I'm being vague here, but hopefully this is at least making enough sense that they then go to my boss and say something to them about how I wasn't being a good partner and I wasn't, you know, providing good, you know, service and all these things. And I'm like, that's funny because one, my boss has been there for all the conversations. All of them. Like he knew exactly where I was at with this particular client. And for them to go to my boss, to me, is a way for them to get me in trouble. Although I was doing what I was supposed to do. And he knew that. So he saw it. He's like, whatever. But to me, their intention was to do harm in a sense, or at least be able to make an impact on my living is how I saw that, if to be honest. And that's, you know, a line that I just not many people would be willing to have that cross, right?
Yeah.
To basically put at jeopardy my ability to provide for myself and my family. And, that's a hard no for me. So
Yeah.
anyway, instances like that where I'm like, oh, why did they do that? Like, why was that necessary? And had you just communicated with me before and we could have secured what you were looking for before, we wouldn't be at this point months and months later where I no longer had what you wanted available. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when things like that happen, which is probably, it's not super often, but maybe like once a year or so, every 16, 18 months, something like that, maybe, is when I'm like, oh, here it is again. Or even just the way that people talk or the things that people say. And Trish Walker. So Trish put it in a good way that to say that the people here are not necessarily racist, but they're ignorant. And maybe that's the case. It's the ignorance. But at the same time, sometimes I'm like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I had a friend who I worked with who had a similar situation where she was like, is it me? Am I doing this wrong? And eventually that turned into her being insecure about the suits that she chose to wear to work because of the way that it fell on her body and the different racialized ways that can be taken, or sexualized ways too. You know what I mean? Like the way that people who aren't necessarily seeing you as a human or seeing you maybe as a caricature or something like that might react to you because of the way that you dress or the way that your body looks. It affects everything about how you even see yourself. I mean, like you just said, Donna, it's like, I don't know, did I do something wrong? It didn't seem like I did anything wrong, but in the right comment on the wrong day can send you into a spiral. You know what I mean? It's interesting, especially being one of very few.
At this stage in my life, I will say, like, similarly, it's just being able, like, it's not that I feel like I did anything wrong. What I was frustrated with was their actions after that.
Yeah.
Because that to me is very clear that they're trying to do something, whatever the case may be. There are ramifications in the instance that my boss wasn't there for the interactions. I've actually had that happen before. I'm probably going to cut this out. I'm just telling you guys, but when I was living in Texas, there's this client that I had, actually maybe this is relevant. I'm not going to cut it out. Who knows? We'll see. So I was living in Texas and working at a property there, had great rapport with this one client. He would often come to the back office and come and talk to me and tell me about like his personal things and his wife and like I knew things about him that typically you don't learn about clients. So whatever changed the dynamic, he pinned the assistant general manager of the property against me by saying that I was being rude, I wasn't being professional, and just a ton of stuff. Meanwhile, all of my coworkers, because we were in like cubicles, basically, they all witnessed these interactions. They're like, he comes to talk to you all the time. And you guys have great rapport. So over the course of probably the next maybe month or two, the assistant general manager is talking to me like, well, he said da-da-da-da, he said da-da-da. And I'm like, I understand he's saying that to you, but I'm telling you that's not the case. So at the change of heart of the AGM was when myself and our director of sales at the time, we were walking down the hallway. The AGM and this client, they were standing in the hallway talking to each other. The director of sales and I, we say hello and good morning or whatever like salutation there was. We continue on. Everything to my knowledge was fine. So then days later, the AGM comes to me. He was like, I just want to apologize to you about anything that I've said to you about this client or that, me believing this client before, because that day that you guys walked by, he turned to me after you walked by and was like, did you see that? She didn't even say hi. She didn't even say anything to me. And he's like, they just said hello. And so that was like the change of heart of him realizing that this person was just lying on me the whole time, And so whatever their issue with me was, I don't know. I'll never know. I don't need to know. but it still was just so weird, and it's just an uncomfortable position to be in because you don't think you're doing anything wrong or you think you actually have great rapport, and meanwhile someone's got like a knife on its way to your back. And that I really don't appreciate, which I can't imagine anybody does, but it's those instances where I'm like, what is it? Why? Just why?
Yeah.
So.
Jeez.
So that's my experience.
Yeah.
And maybe it's industry. I don't know.
Yeah, because I can honestly sit here. I haven't had those type of experiences. But this is what I mean about like the things that shape our story and how it affects how we show up, right? Because like I look at you and I'm like, my friend Donna is this like brilliant, incredibly beautiful, like smart, like competent, like dynamic woman, right? And so like I see how you operate in so many other things. And like even from like putting together like a girl strip, I'm like, okay, like there's an Excel spreadsheet, like everything is like
we have an agenda, it's printed,
like it is just like okay, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So and I think when you have those type of experience, right, it like feeds like kind of what Jonathan was saying, just you're kind of like what's coming, like ooh, what's out there, you know. And it can be so it can become this like almost like you feel like you have like a tourniquet on you in how you move through the world, you know. And living, here, it's interesting because I feel like I am so used to being the only one.
Yeah.
That it's become this like almost like such a normal part of my life.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when I go to Atlanta to see my parents, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we're in Florida with my kids and my sister and my nieces and their kids and all these brown kids, it's like, oh. Yeah. And so like it's all of it, right? It's like all of those different layers. And for me, it's a lot of what I have acknowledged, especially after the civil unrest of 2020 and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. And I landed in a space where like I will never edit any parts of my Blackness. That makes sense. And and whoever is in my circle or a client that wants to work with me and like they're it's the whole me. It's all of me, you know. Yeah. And even like the things that I voiced and shared on my page, like I had people go, Laura, you shouldn't talk about those things, or like you shouldn't share that, you know. And sometimes I don't have anything to say because it is mine and I don't need to at that moment.
Right.
But when I feel called to, I will say something. And I don't do it in a way to like, it isn't me like dumping a thesis to make a change.
Right.
It is like, there's a conversation here. Like, this is what is happening and what we're experiencing, and it's not going to just go away.
Right.
Just like I'm not going to go away. You're not going to go away.
Right.
Jonathan's not going to go away. I think that like how I move through the world is because I'm a proud Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've had like so much testaments to that from like all the other women in my life. And those experiences that you shared makes me like, it infuriates me, and at the same time makes me like realize that like all the things we have to manage,
right,
you know, too, you know, which can be exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it in. I think it's interesting because, well, we talk about this a lot in so many different ways because it just is the reality. I mean, even here in St. Louis, which is, you know, largely a Black and white city. There's some in between, but it's usually it's largely Black and white. I'm also always surrounded by white people just because of where I live. And I understand completely what you mean. And I think that also, just to bring it back to style, I feel like that also is another reason why I've been maybe unconsciously as a kid, but more so consciously as an adult, been really interested in making sure that I stamp a personal style and I express myself as is. Cause it's like, y'all can dress alike if you want. I remember when I was working with this girl who was obsessed with, what was her name? Lily Pulitzer. Is that what the print was? Is that the lady?
Yeah.
And I was like, she's ruining your lives. She's ruining your lives because you never liked floral print until yesterday. But because so-and-so said that you needed to, you've fallen in line. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can't do that. And in the same way that I can't ever, like to Donna's story about, oh, they didn't say hi to me. I could have said hi to you, hugged you, and kissed you on the cheek, but because of who I am, you would have never received it in this way. So I just have to be me. Like it's never gonna be different, or it's never gonna be anything different than whatever's in your head. And I'm never gonna be anyone different than who I am. So let me put my shit on.
Yeah, no, and I feel like, you know, I work with mostly white people, you know, and
they're lucky to have you. Having sauce is great.
having sauce is great. And I feel like, you know, I've had like a really, because I don't edit parts of who I am, I feel like the people who want to work with me and who are drawn to the community that I'm trying to build, and they are here to be a part of this bigger picture of like, I see you, you know. And I remember I was at this like dinner thing, and one of the gals at the table was talking about someone else, and it was interesting in that moment. I was like, I don't know if I have the luxury to just like chat about someone like that, you know, in this type of space where we were.
Yeah.
And so I remember saying to her, like, you know, she's not here. So like, if you're not gonna say something to me that
you wouldn't say to her,
you're not gonna say like to her, then I don't want to have this conversation. And I feel like that's how I kind of like move through the space of like who's an ally and who's not. Because it's like, just show me who you are, and like,
then that's information for you to be
and
able
I'm
to take
good.
and do what you're gonna do.
And I'm good.
With it.
Like I am so good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is like a power within myself that I hold, that like I don't take things personally. And I pull from what people show me.
Yeah.
And and that like the talk is just a small part of like show me who you are, you know. And people usually do.
Yeah.
They usually do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think of like some of like my really great contracts that I've gotten and working with these companies and clients and has been because white women have advocated when I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
Shared like their experience or like, and there's no like, you give me this, I give you that, you know? And I feel like that's how I move through this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way I'm not like managing other people's perception of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I think that I honestly, I feel like that's a beautiful bow, the managing other people's perception, because that's largely the history of style. It's like largely expression. It's like I'm trying to control how you see me. That's why I wore this really nice, fancy thing. We don't have a choice. That's why we have to have personal style. Yeah.
And it's personal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's subjective to
and that's the
the
sweet
person.
spot.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot. It's like honoring that and like figuring out what does that mean for me? You know, because trust me, everyone wants to tell you what that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to kind of block out the noise and figure out your own path and your own personal style, not just somebody else's or multiple people's into your own.
Yes. Yes. And that agency is like the type of like, that's the type of grounding or like being centered, you know, that like doesn't just like expire or leave you because something doesn't fit or, you know, you're just feeling a certain way right now in whatever season you're in. Like it just, you know, you can put it into perspective about what you're experiencing as opposed to dismantling all of you.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you got to take the time and hang out with us.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you so much.
This was so great. I mean, I want to stay. And
yes, you can come back. You'll come back. We'll maybe next year we'll have to schedule after like a Met Gala or some iconic
gosh, that would be
so fun.
Yeah. That'd be so fun. I was like, I love oh my gosh, my brain. Coleman.
Coleman Domingo.
Yes. I just think he is he's so dynamic in his style. But I think more than that is that he speaks to a lot of like you know, black dandies and like kind of what we but I feel like he also really presses on that like line of what is masculine and what is feminine. And I just love that because it's just like when he wears stuff, I'm like I could never rock that. Like it just looks so cool on him, you know? And I think that is like, it's such a emphasis on what personal style is this like really holding true to how you want to show up in this really intentional way that isn't tethered to anyone else. And I just think that's like so powerful. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, I just love his whole style and vibe. It's got energy.
All right, you hear that, everyone. It's going to be Met Gala 2026. We're having Laura back on. In the interim, how can people find you and support your work?
I'm on Instagram at lauratully.co, or just come to my website, www.lauratully.co.
Yay. And we'll be sure to put it in the show notes, too. thank you again for hanging out with us. This was fun. I love this.
This was so fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.